It's a ferromagnetic, just tell you whether the car is available, there's a car, there's no car. But it doesn't make any meaning if you just say available or not. But when it can answer the question who actually parked at that particular place. When is the peak period? What kind of vehicle actually parking at that particular place? And where exactly is the empty parking slot, the parking lot, for example. That is the information that you want to know. But then if you have the question of, say, hey, can you answer this question of how I can implement a tiered parking charging mechanism? The off-peak different period on, during the peak period is different. That is something meaningful. And for example, if you want to do enforcement, you want to say, how can I find an overstayed vehicle, right? But finally, the question is that you can answer why my parking, if you are parking operator, why my parking lot here is empty or very few cars, but my neighbor parking lot is, everyone is parking over there. So without the right mechanism, the right data, you are unable to answer the final questions, why it happens. So I give you an example of like this, because the who, the what, the when, the what, the where is all about sensors. Talking about the time span, the timestamp, talking about location, where, using GPS, talking about who, you must make sure that there is an ID, talking about where is the location, for example. So then you understand what kind of sensors to be put in place. So from there, if you look at this, I can't see, if you look at this, all the sensors and the actuators on this side, all the hardware that you have defined, because that's the one that will answer the questions about the who, what, where, and when. It will connect it, and the most important part of IoT is also the middleware, the one that aggregates all the data using different kind of protocols. The connectivity that you use from maybe Wi-Fi, LoRa, Sigfox, 3G, whatever, connects to the internet. The middleware will collect it using whatever protocol that you use for MQTT or HTTP or RESTful protocol. And from there, you need to crunch the numbers or you derive the insights. Right? So in the applications that you have, this is where the guys in the big data group is actually looking at. Yeah? Either you do some correlations or you can even do some dashboarding, only for visualization purposes. In the example of smart parking, it's only one example where one source of data that comes from parking information. But there are also sensors that come from different sources of applications. You can have home, transport, office, waste, for example. So there are different sources of information which have different sources of sensors. But the best part, if you can blend the data together. The moment you can blend the data, it can make different meaning. One, your correlation, your decision-making process is much more accurate. I can ask you if there is a problem, I want to ask from one source of information, one table here. Okay, you can have that decision, but if you make a decision here, most probably it's not correct. So you must gather another, have to correlate with another table, the third table, the fourth table. So then you have more meaningful and more accurate decision-making process. The second part is that the beauty of having data blender is that you are now opening your data for other developers to create more innovative applications, more creative. It opens up a limitless number of applications. I give you an example of, a very simple one. If you go for, let's take example of home, health, and transport. So it means that if you develop and health applications, wearable device that tells you when you are sick, when you fall down, so that's health applications at your house. And then suddenly it sends an alert to the hospital. The hospital have connected to you. They will send the ambulance who understands the best route to take, the fastest route with less congestion. So with that kind of applications, it can give you a different meaning of data. So I will show you other examples of data when we aggregate different sources. So that's the beauty of having a blended data applications. But that's what IoT is about. If you have one application alone, with one set of database. It's not IoT, it's the pre-IoT days, which is called M2M. So, I want to take you how we can go about the journey of building smart cities. Which smart cities that you have heard about? In in Malaysia, any cities are that smart? None. None yet. We have heard a lot lah, but we have seen none yet. Okay. Other countries? Anywhere? Amsterdam? Yeah. Amsterdam was the earliest. London, Barcelona. The nearest is down south, Singapore. In fact, Singapore has been rated as the #1 smart city in the world. So when you build smart cities, don't go for a very fancy part, the third phase. Go for the first phase first. So there are 3 categories of smart cities. The one is ROI driven. ROI driven means smart city which want to reduce the cost of their operations, to sustain their business. For example, parking, the moment you get revenue, you can increase, you can make better parking system and all that. So this kind of cities, what we call an ROI driven. The second one, once you have that, okay, you want to make it green. Everything is green, meaning to say less carbon. So what's the simplest smart city applications for green cities? It's actually if you can reduce carbon by using your smart transport, smart parking, I would say. The reason why 30% everywhere around the world, I would say, 30% of congestion is because people like us are trying to find a car park, right? You go around and round and round. Today, once you have a car park which is have lights, it can really, shorten your driving experience and you can find the car park easily. So the same thing when outside, if you have, where's the car park, you don't have to go round and round to find the car park. So it reduces the congestion about 30%. Once you reduce the 30% congestion, it reduces your traveling time and reduce the carbon that's being, generated from your car. So once you get less carbon, you're becoming a green city. So that's a very simple applications that become a green city. And the third one, okay lah, you have the first one, you have the second one. Go for the third one where you stand at the bus stop,